A Lit in 10 discussion with Lisa M. Kendrick. Excerpts by Francis Bacon and Sir Thomas More. Sir Thomas More became a powerful statesman and, 400 years after his death, a saint. Born in London in 1478, More entered Parliament when he was 26. His experience in the political world convinced him that the time was ripe for change. In 1516, More wrote Utopia, a fictional work in which he describes an ideal state ruled by reason. Rhetorical devices, techniques that communicate ideas to support and strengthen arguments, is used most often via analogy, a comparison made between dissimilar things in order to explain an unfamiliar subject. Repetition, rhetorical questioning, which is a question to which no answer is expected, and antithesis, expresses contrasting ideas with parallel grammatical structure. This one-page excerpt of a part of Utopia is in the Holt McDougall English 12 Literature Anthology on page 446. In it, More discusses his view that an effective king cares more about his subjects' welfare than his own. The thesis is at the end of that first section. It belongs to the king to take more care for the welfare of his people than for his own, just as it is the duty of a shepherd, insofar as he is a shepherd, to feed his sheep. In this excerpt, there are two main ideas posited to support More's thesis. The first is that to have a single person enjoy a life of pleasure and self-indulgence amid the groans and lamentations of all around him is to be the keeper not of a kingdom, but of a jail. The second is that the king had better amend his own indolence or arrogance, for these two vices generally cause his people to despise him. An example of rhetorical question use is in the first full paragraph, "Where will you find more quarreling than among beggars?" An example of an analogy from this piece is in the first paragraph, where he compares a king to a shepherd. And his use of repetition is used most often in the last paragraph, where he repeats his structure over and over. Let him, let him, let him. Sir Francis Bacon had interest extending from law and public service to philosophy and science. As a literary figure, he is perhaps most famous as the father of the English essay. His edition of 10 essays, published in 1597, contained the first examples of that literary form to gain popularity in England. An essay is a relatively brief work of nonfiction that offers an opinion on a subject. The purpose of an essay may be to express ideas and feelings, to inform, to entertain, or to persuade. Many essays use aphorisms, which are brief statements that express general observations about life in a witty, pointed way that makes them memorable. In Of Studies, Bacon explores the use and abuse of studies. He advises readers to choose books that will make them think. The first of his two key points is that the general counsels and the plots and marshalling of affairs come best from those that are learned. His second key point is there is no stond or impediment in the wit, but may be wrought out by fit studies, like as diseases of the bodies may have appropriate exercise. In this essay, Bacon addresses various benefits and limitations of marriage for men. He recommends marriage for most men, but not for churchmen, judges, or magistrates. His tone here is meant to be humorous. It also helps to bear in mind that marrying for love is something that has only been the standard for about 100 years. Of Marriage and the Single Life has a more complex thesis than Of Studies. It's in two parts as a contrast. He that hath wife and children hath given hostages to fortune, for they are impediments to great enterprises. Yet it were great reason that those that have children should have the greatest care of future time. He closes with the idea that wives are young men's mistresses, companions for middle age, and old men's nurses.